A woman who was abducted by a rebel army in Uganda and held captive for 8 years has brought her message of hope and resiliency to Halifax. She'll share her story at a conference this week. But first, she sat down with the CBC's Bob Murphy.
A cup of comfort, a small gesture to a woman who's come a long way with a horrifying story about years held against her will by rebel soldiers.
There was no food at times. Just need to survive on wild plants. And every other time you are being watched.
Akan, like so many women in Uganda, was abducted by the Lord's Resistance Army led by Joseph Kony. She was forced to bear 2 children, and her life was in constant danger because of the rebels and the Ugandan army shooting at them.
The first 2 people in front of me were shot. The person behind me was shot. I survived because I was just entering a kind of ditch in the process of moving, and I happened to run and move the opposite direction.
Akan finally escaped in 2004. Since then, she's been working with other survivors of violence, encouraging them to talk about their experiences and using techniques such as drawing to help them heal.
You can talk about your leg, what happened. Maybe you moved for a long distance and it swelled, so you just mark there. This helps in reminding someone to tell more and more of what happened.
Surviving physically and emotionally is one thing, but now that the women are free, surviving economically is quite another. And that's where jewelry like this comes in.
These ones are made out of papers.
The women make and sell it. They have clothing too. The income is meager, but it's an important start to rebuilding the women's lives. Academics and others at a conference this week hope to learn from Akan so humanitarian organizations can provide more than food, clothing, and shelter when mass violence strikes.
And how to kind of create stronger linkages between those responses during armed violence and those afterwards in a way that's more sustainable and empowering towards individuals that they're trying to reach.
Advice on surviving from someone who's living it. Bob Murphy, CBC News, Halifax.